copy a case which you have saved as JPEG files as DICOM files within OsiriX, with the complicating factor being that this is going to be a case with multiple series. It's going to be an MRI brain with 5 separate series, and we're going to use the JPEG to DICOM plugin for OsiriX. But before we do any of that, let's bring up our case. So we've got a number of JPEGs here, and before we even go into OsiriX, for reasons that will become clear, we need to rename these JPEGs so that we can clearly identify which belong to which series. So if we click on this one, this is part of the Axial T2, and having looked at this case before, I think I know that the Axial T2s finish at number 497 there. Yeah, they do. And then it goes on to diffusion weighted. So I want to rename all these files, selected them all by clicking the first one and then shift and clicking the last in the list. And a much quicker way to do that than to do it by hand is to use Automator, which will be built into any Mac. And if we use Automator to create a new workflow, so Automator is good for doing repetitive tasks if you've never used it before, and we are going to give Automator specified finder items, so we'll drag that there, and we are going to ask Automator to rename those finder items for us. This says, do you want me to duplicate before renaming them? We don't in this case. And then from the top of the rename menu, drop down and make them sequential. So first thing to do is give it the specified finder items that you said you were going to give it. So I'll just drag them into there. Very important that they are in the correct order, which I've checked in these files. They have to be in the order because it's going to be made sequential depending on the order they are here, not depending on the order they are supposed to be in. So how are we going to make them sequential? We're going to give them a new name. This is going to be Neuro Case 2, but we need more than that. We need to know how to identify this as a separate series, so we're going to call it this. These are the Axial T2. And another important one is if there are fewer than 100, then make it 2 digits long. If there are fewer than 10, it could be 1 digit long, but just make sure you don't have to repeat digits because then the order will get messed up. Then I'm just going to hit run. And they've all disappeared because they're alphabetically now listed here. Well, it won't display the whole name, but Neuro Axial T2 slice 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I need to do that for all 5 series, so I'll just do the rest a little bit quicker. So Command A to select all of them, we don't need them anymore. So this looks like the diffusion, and the diffusion goes up to 805. Don't know whether these are B0s or whatever. We'll just label it as DWI. I know there's only one diffusion sequence. So I've dragged them all in order, changed the name. It's going to rename to NeuroCase DWI. Run that. So I've got my Axial T2s, got my DWIs, all in order. Command A, select all and remove them. We don't need them anymore. The ADC map, which only goes up to '61. Let's bring that across. DC. Oh, I should have actually checked this box already. Hopefully it won't make a difference. It's fine. And now in here we have got some T1 pre and T1 post contrast. So where do the pre-end? Pre-end's there. Axial. And that should leave me axial T1 post contrast. Run that. And just in case of any ordering issues, which I don't think there will be. No, there won't be. But it would have been better to do that 01 to 22 and 01 here. I think that will be fine. So we can close Automator. It'll give you the option to save it, and you may want to save it as a sequential rename, and then the next time you double click on that workflow, it'll just open up already looking like that. It's very useful for this and also for, I don't know, renumbering photos or something, but I've already got a copy of it, so I don't need that. So I have my case. Let's make it a bit smaller. So let's launch OsiriX. No, thank you. So I'm going to put this into a database that I'd already created in the manner that a video on the website shown. And rather than using the import, I'm going to select plugin JPEG to DICOM. So everything's nicely laid out for me here, so I know that I can select all of them. Some text in here from what I've been messing about with before when I was testing this. So I'm going to call the patient Neuro Case 2, call it whatever you want. Patient's ID, I normally leave that blank. And a study description. It's an MRI of head. So the important thing is that you've got the series within the actual name there, which we'll find out why just shortly. So anyway, open that. And because these are just JPEGs rather than DICOMs, they actually copy in extremely quickly. So repeat. In fact, post-contrast has appeared before the pre-contrast. For alphabetical reasons. But OsiriX will just order them in the order you drag them in. So pre-contrast first. Because they've got the same name, they've popped up here in the same patient file. So I've done the T1 pre-post, same patient name, make sure the description finally the DWI. Okay, so I've now got my 5 cases, my 5 series. They're all individual. They have reverted to, it would appear, an order of their own, which I can't drag to change. That doesn't matter. So now if you double click to view, you've got the cases there separately, and because we've named them, when I was naming them in Automator, we put the series description in. I know that's the DWI, that's the Axial T1 post contrast, ADC, etc. So you can flick between them as you will. So I was thinking about how we could go even further, and I think we could use the anonymize tool for this. So as you drop them down, is there a way of changing the series name? So for example, just pick that one line, and take everything off. Apart from series description and call this DWI. Actually, I won't call it anything yet. We'll save that as change series. DWI place. Hopefully that's all it should change. There we go. It's now labeled as DWI. Anonymize. Change series. C. Okay, so let's hope, kind of doing that, learning that as I went, there we go. So we now have our 5 studies, and it doesn't have the name that we gave it with Automator anymore, so it's slightly easier to read. The date of birth there, which I entered, and the time of the study, I guess if you didn't enter that, that wouldn't be there, so that maybe wouldn't, that's not date of birth, that's the date of acquisition. That might make it a bit more clear, but hopefully that should be how we get JPEGs of multiple series cases onto OsiriX, and just in case you were worried that it didn't seem to be doing the usual copying thing where it copies the files to your database, we can show in Finder the entirety of neurocase number 2 is nested within my MRI head database. So it has copied fully into OsiriX. And if I delete this folder which I copied it all from, it will still be there. Hope that was helpful.